What is going on, guys? The final Resummon banner is available for you guys. It's the Healer Tank / Magic Tank banners, those physical tanks and magic tanks, all in the same banner. This is also a very good way to target specific units for you guys out there, especially newer players. We talked about the support and breaker banner last time. Those characters are top tier. You want those in your party to tackle harder content. The same thing goes for healers, tanks, and magic tanks. If you don't have tanks and supports and breakers and healers in your team's just going to fall apart when you go to do high-end content. You cannot have 15 DPS in the team, right, and expect to take on the hardest content in the game unless they're all fully super TMR'd out and you're going to one-shot the boss or whatever on turn 1 and 2. So this is what you're looking for when building your team up. We're going to be looking at, obviously, the super TMRs you can gain access to here, as well as what units you should be targeting for said super TMRs or units to use in your team in particular, especially as a newer player. This is going to be one of the best ways that you can get in there. This is going to be 6,000 Lapis. Now, there is also the 11 Rainbow Summon. We might talk about that at the end of the video. I'm not going to do a specific video on that, so this one might get tagged on at the end very quickly there. I know there's a lot of stuff for you guys to be using Lapis on. We have the Attacker banner, we have Madame Adele, we have the Healer Tank Resummon banner, we have the 11 Rainbow banner. So let's go in here. And a real quick synopsis, this is going to be a Resummon banner. If you haven't watched or looked at any of the other Resummon banners, you spend 6,000 Lapis, you get a 10+1 summon. That +1 is a guaranteed 5-star character from these 20 that are available on the banner, and you will get a 50% Super Trust Master Moogle for that character that you got there. Now, if you do not like the result that you got, you are allowed to re-roll up to 4 additional times. So you can get 5 different 10+1. So you get the initial one and up to 4 more. You can stop and keep whatever, depending on what you gain access to, which ones you like the most. But if you don't like it, you can continue going on there. So thank you guys so much for the likes in the comments. Let me know what you're aiming for down here, or what you've been spending your Lapis on this weekend. There's been a lot of stuff to spend Lapis on. I'm assuming this means Full Metal Alchemist is coming sometime soon. So Full Metal Alchemist fans, obviously you're probably just hoarding your Lapis for your favorite characters there. And let me know what you think about that stuff there. So before we get into this, thank you guys once again for supporting the channel through Patreon, as well as becoming YouTube channel members. You guys are amazing, and everyone out there is crazy in the gratitude that they show to the channel here. So let's get into this. Let's look at the 20 different units that are going to be in here. Oh, I almost summoned. I don't need this summon. Let's go down in here and let's take a look at the units. So we have Mercenary Rams is the first one. He is kind of old, but he is still actually very strong. He got a lot of global enhancements. He's got some. One cool thing that he has access to, he has in Trust as a tank. He's going to be one of the weaker tanks available on this banner, though. There are some very, very, very strong ones. He's like second tier. I'd put him like a second tier unit. His super TMR, the Reverie Shield, 20% defense and spirit, and some pretty high defense and spirit on a heavy shield there. It's pretty decent. Nothing super insane. Nothing to aim for either category, a player looking for super TMRs or a unit itself. Elfrida here as a unit, pretty much dead as a character. Not a good tank. Nothing that you're going to be wanting on your team whatsoever. Her super TMR is actually pretty decent, though, especially if you're trying to get a unit to tank both physical and magic damage at the same time. It gives you 30% HP, 30% defense, and 30% spirit. It also gives you 50% true double hand as well. So if you're trying to get like a damage dealer to be tankier, you could use that there as well. But I do have this super TMR, and 9 times out of 10, I have throw down like a support or a healer or a tank or whatever, just for the raw 30% HP defense and spirit there. So you'll have it, you'll use it if you have it, but you're not aiming for it. Barrel here, he's like a tank / breaker kind of hybrid, though, but the way his kit works, it honestly to me just isn't all that great. I don't think he's that fantastic of a tank and breaker combination. He can't really do both things at the same time. He's really wonky. He wants to kill himself, do some strong abilities. I know there's people out there that do use him and do like him. I wouldn't aim for him, though, as a newer player. You can use him, but he's definitely on the weaker side of all of the different current top-end tanks and breakers in the game. His super TMR, though, I have it, and I do like it a lot. It's a dagger that gives you light and dark resist, as well as a high amount of spirit as well. So I put this on like my supports and on my healers as well, because it gives you that high spirit and that elemental resistance, and it also is a dagger, so you can run it through item world and get high tide on it. So very strong super TMR and that aspect. Now I also have awoken. I always want to call him awakened warrior of light. I think I want to call him awoken warrior of light, but it's awakened warrior of light insanely powerful physical tank, actually pretty new out there, so this is gonna be one of the things you're aiming for as a new player. Very fantastic character, especially if you get him to 7-star. His super teamer is also pretty powerful. It's a very strong heavy shield, very similar to Mercenary Ramza's, but is a little bit better in my opinion. So very strong character. I wouldn't aim for his super TMR, but if you do get it, you are not going to be disappointed with it. Now Gladiolus is one of the older, not so great tanks on the banner. It's a physical tank, and that's really what he's locked into. You can single target cover a specific unit and get really strong mitigation for some super weird cheesy strategies where you use multiple Gladiolus, but you don't really need to do that. It's sort of a meme. He is very bulky, and he can physical tank very well, but he's not a character that you're going to want to aim for. His super TMR, though, is also very powerful. It's 50% HP and 30% defense. So as far as stats goes, it also has like a counter effect on it. I can't remember exactly what it does. I think it counters with like a defense buff or something. That might be his TMR, Zedrich. It counters with something, I'm pretty sure. Bosch's has a counter on it. His super TMR, and Gladiolus has a counter on it as well. I think one of them's like an MP heal and the other one's like a defense buff or an attack buff. I think it's a defense buff. I think Gladiolus is a defense buff and Zedrich gives you an attack buff. So it's very strong though. I use it all the time. I have access to it, and you're just going to throw it on a unit, tank, support, something, and you're going to be happy with it. Bosch as a character, I still think Bosch is very strong. He's not like the best tank in the game, but he's a very flexible tank, and he also has a very strong supportive breaking style in his kit. He's got a very decent, thank you, Windows, very decent full attack, defense, magic, and spirit break of 70%. He gives himself an HP barrier, so he can kind of help your breaker break with you. You can do cool things. We talked about Sylvie last time, where she has very powerful breaks, but they're very temporary. If you have Bosch in your party as your tanker, Sylvie and Bosch can rotate their breaking abilities against a single target with Bosch, and you'll have full 70% breaks as long as the boss isn't dispelling themselves. And he can tank both physical and magical damage, and with his global enhancements, he can get very tanky. So you should be someone that you're aiming for, but if you get him, right, if you're on your second to last reroll or whatever, and you're like, I don't know if I want to chance it anymore, he could be someone that you could lock in and use for a while, especially if you get him as like your second copy. It is at a 7-star. And his super TMR is very similar to Gladiolus's. It's 50% HP and 30% spirit. And I think the counter on it is like it restores a little bit of MP back to your character. Ayaka is like the most basic healer on here, and we're gonna also talk about Lotus Mage Fina. They're both serviceable, they're both good, but the newer healers, especially like Ayaka versus the newer healers, outclass her in pretty much every way. They have a bunch of extra utility that Ayaka doesn't really have access to. Her super TMR is a very high spirit staff with HP on it. Not something you should aim for either super team or character-wise, but you can use them. They are serviceable, and it's better than not having any healer whatsoever. Lotus Mage Fina has a limit burst that will spam out some re-raises for you. She has access to a bunch of different stuff. She's got MP. She's got some nice buffs for attack and spirit and elemental resistances for different elements now. And she also, a lot of people like spamming her LB for re-raises over and over and over. I think she's still outclassed by some of the newer healers. And her super TMR isn't something that you're really going to want to have access to. It gives you like a temporary buff at the start of the battle for a couple of turns, but it doesn't stack with any other buffs. It's an actual buff that you start with. So it's like an attack, defense, magic, and spirit buff. I think it's 100%, but you're going to have bigger buffs than that. You're going to have some buffs that are larger than that and are on your whole team. So it also gives I think it's like MP per turn in High Tide, or LB gauge fill rate or something like that. It's nothing really worth talking about. Now we have Dr. Aden, who is a new healer, and he's going to be one of the characters that you're going to aim for as a healer target if you are coming into the game new and fresh. He's very strong. He's got a lot of different supportive aspects in his kit. His Magnus ability is very strong as well. Very good healer. A lot of supported aspects in his kit. Just a very strong character all around. His TMR is also fantastic, just his normal TMR. His super TMR is pretty good too. It's very similar to Ayaka's as far as a staff with some spirit and HP on it. So pretty strong. Super TMR, I wouldn't target it, but as a new player looking for a tank, he's definitely something, or a healer. You can look into Dr. Aden. Speaking of Dr. Aden, he actually can tank a little bit for like a temporary turn. He's got a cooldown skill that makes him provoke, and then it gives him 20 stacks of Mirage, so he will auto-dodge the next 20 skills and attacks that are physical, that are aimed at him, and he's going to be having high spirit. So if you build him a high HP, high spirit, he's going to be provoking, so any magic damage going at him is going to fly right off because he's got really high spirit, and any sort of physical attack that goes at him, he's just going to auto-dodge. Now, it's only for one turn, but it is like a unique little aspect where you can help your tank for a single turn there. Now we have Sieghart, very powerful tank, very bulky character. Limit Burst can help you mitigate damage for a couple turns, goes up to 45%, can tank physical, can take magical damage. Very, very strong character. A lot of people are using Sieghart as their main tank still, so you can land on this guy safely and like him for just his raw bulk and girth, all right, in your party. So very powerful character there. Myra's my favorite healer in the game. She's got access to heals. She's got it obviously as a healer, but also her heals have very powerful either regen effects, either from her limit burst or one of her heals, or her heals also have the different songs that she chains into. You have, intro, interlude, main verse, outro. She's got very powerful limit burst gauge, manipulation, so she can help fill up the different people's limit burst gauge all the time, or your whole party's limit burst gauge over and over and over. She's got access to AoE raise, AoE re-raise, defense and spirit break, different elemental imperils. So very, very, she got HP barrier. She can chain with bolting strike. She's got a lot of cool stuff that she can do, and she's probably like the second or third most new player friendly character. Oh, she's got different not elemental resistances. She's got attack, defense, magic, spirit break resist. She's got everything but stop, and poison and blind resist as well. So she can stop all the very hard hitting stuff. So she's very, very strong, very, very good, very strong for a new player. And then as your account grows older, and you can, you start trying to do like weirder things with your team party and team composition. Start trying to put chain finishes in there. She allows you to do a lot of weird, flexible stuff without giving up anything that you want from your main healer in support. She has all that stuff, and then allows you to do really cool stuff like fire off different limit bursts continuously and over and over and over. And you're gonna really love that as you grow and your team grows in the game. So look out for Myra. She's going to be definitely, in my opinion, one of the healers you should aim for as a new player. Warrior of Dawn Galoof here is the other top tier physical tank. Awakened Warrior Light and Warrior of Dawn Galoof. Warrior of Dawn Galoof has a less what do I want to call it? Less supportive skills and utility than Awakened Warrior of Light does. But he also has a very powerful limit burst where he can put up 50% general mitigation. So once you start firing that off, you're going to have 50% general mitigation there. And then the most important, or second most important, I guess, after the mitigation utility that it has access to is Entrust. So like Warrior of Dawn Galoof and Myra have Entrust. Mercenary Ramza has Entrust here too as well. Lotus Mage Fina has Entrust, but she's an okay Entruster, but Myra has dual cast with Entrust, so you can do another action plus Entrust, which is super crazy. Warrior of Dawn Galoof, just because of the way that he's working as a character, he doesn't have a whole lot of stuff to do. He uses his limit burst, he tanks a little bit, and you may be a guard with them, so he doesn't have a whole lot of stuff to do. But the fact that you don't need to use his limit burst all that often, so you'll have access to those LB crystals to give to someone else. Him having Entrust is actually a pretty big deal. It can allow you to do some really cool stuff as well. So Warrior of Dawn Galoof, draw attack, can easily hit some dodge that other tanks can't really hit because he has a little bit of passive dodge as well. Retains his bulk and has a minor amount of utility outside of that, but that 50% mitigation goes a long way. Very, very strong tanking character between Awakened Warrior of Light and Warrior of Dawn Galoof for your physical tanks. They only are physical tanks. They can't AoE cover magic, so they're AoE physical cover and then single target provoke characters there. Folka, very strong healer as well. Still in this day and age, has access to a lot of the supportive aspects that you want on your healer. Has access to spammable HP barriers, attack, defense, magic, spirit break immunity, anti-disease, which actually gives you, I think it's a counter that heals off negative status ailments. She has the ability as well to make your team immune to everything in the game. So attack, defense, magic, spirit break, stop, charm, petrificate, all of that stuff. She can make you immune to all of it except for like berserk. So very powerful effect there. Oh, speaking of berserk and not having the ability to protect or remove it, Myra actually, her limit burst not only is very strong for the HP and MP over time that it gives, but it will remove any negative status infliction in the game, including berserk, including imperils, including anything that's not zombie. Pretty much, she removes stop, she removes charm, break reductions, any sort of status ailment, any sort of stop, berserk, imperils. All of them are gone. And anything in the game outside of zombies she'll remove there. So very powerful thing. Folka is very strong as well. Very solid MP battery with Folka. You won't be sorry if you pick up Folka and start using her as your healer, especially since she has enhancements now. She's very, very good there. Aloha Laswell on the tank banner. No, he's not a tank. I don't know why he's here. And this is a tank review. Avoid Aloha Laswell for the tank. We talk about him more if this was like a physical damage. He's got a true dual wield accessory, 25%. It's got 25% evasion. That's the only thing we'll talk about. His TMR is 25% evasion on it. As far as a character, for a traditional tank, you're not going to want him, so just pass on him. We're not going to talk about him too much here. Now we also have Warrior of Light Lena here. Very strong healer, especially as a 6-star character. This should be, if you intend for a long time, if you just started the game, you're going to roll on this banner, this should be probably the #1 character to try to pick up. If you don't want to spend any ULCs to make any of these characters 7-star, you want to be able to roll with a 6-star character. Get Warrior of Light Lena. She's going to have a lot of amazing stuff to do as a 6-star character, which is one of her biggest strengths. And she's also very powerful as a 7-star character too. But she's going to be able to heal your whole team. She's got triple cast white magic. She's getting in there. She's going to do a bunch of cool stuff for you at 6-star. Her super TMR, it's pretty good. I mean, it's got 30% spirit on it. It's got you the option to Dispelga. You guys out there, you guys who want Warrior of Light Lena super TMR for having Dispelga on any person, you already know. Then your account's already probably set up enough to not even be needing to listen to the whole should I pull for these characters as a new player thing. So if you guys want the Warrior Light Lena Super TMR, go for it. You guys already know you want it. You don't really need it though. A lot of characters already have access to Dispelga, but I wouldn't target it personally myself, but it is pretty powerful. Yuna is an older character, as an older healer, not really all that powerful, all that prominent. I'd avoid her as a new player. Her super TMR, different elemental resistances, 20%, pretty high spirit. It's pretty cool. I would avoid her as a new player and for a super TMR target. Sacred Shield Charlotte is still my favorite magic tank, and my favorite magic tank out of all of the magic tanks that are on this banner in particular. Very powerful limit burst. There's still not anyone that has a stronger limit burst in the entire game, in my opinion. That's because it's very cheap, costs 22 limit burst gauge crystals, and it activates her AoE magic cover and puts up 50% general damage mitigation on your whole party. So the speed that this comes out and the speed that you're able to put it up again is insane. Like if your tank ever goes down, like you have re-raise on your tank and she dies, right? And she dies, you can make her job the main damage mitigator and the main AoE magic cover tank at the same time without caring, because if she ever dies and gets re-raised back up, you just use her limit burst again and you're firing already on all cylinders. So she's very, very strong. She comes out swinging. She stays swinging. She's doing her job the whole time. Very bulky character. Has a little bit of utility. Has some magic damage mitigation for your party. High Tide, LB Gauge Fill Ray, Ice and Holy, Imbue, or not Imbue, but Imperil and Resistances. So very strong character. I love Sacred Shield Charlotte through and through. If you're looking for a magic tank, this is the one that you should be looking for, in my opinion there. Aerith is an older character. She's a pretty decent healer still, but she's like on the 3rd rung, right? I think like Yuna and Aerith and Ayaka are definitely the worst of the 3 healers on here. Right above them is like Lotus Mage Fiend, and then you have like the big standouts that we talked about, like Myra and Folka and Warrior of Light Lena. Are very much the 3 healers that you own. Dr. Aden are very much the healers that you should be aiming for. If I already said Dr. Aden, I apologize, but those are the healers you should be aiming for. Aerith, you can use her in whatever. I just think she's slightly worse than some of the other healers on here. Her super TMR, 60 flat spirit, 60% spirit, and it has some other effect on it that I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's like 60% dark resist or 40% or 30% dark resist or something like that. It's pretty good. You put it on like Zhuangwu Xilong, but they don't need it to be good, so I'd avoid it. I wouldn't pull for it specifically myself. Now we also have Awakened Rain and Wilhelm, the 2 oldest tanks in the game out here in the 7-star era. Wilhelm, AoE physical cover tank only. Limit burst lasts 1 turn. Doesn't really have a lot of utility outside of that. Awaken Rain, sort of the similar thing to Wilhelm, but flipped on the magic tank side. So he's like a magic tank. Doesn't really offer a whole lot to the party outside of I'm going to get punched in the face and take damage. They're very much the yin and yang of the roles. That they were basically the tanks started out being defined by Awaken Rain and Wilhelm in the game, and they stand there. You can look at these 2 tanks and look at the new tanks and compare the different stuff that each of the characters has access to, and everyone's built off of Awaken Rain as a magic tank, and everyone's built off of Wilhelm as a physical tank, which means that they are going to be worse than all those characters because people have built the new characters based on the original concept for these 2, and those characters just do way more stuff than these ones do. So I'd avoid these 2 as a new player looking for a tank. You can get in there, you can use them, but you'd be better off picking pretty much any of the other characters to be your tank here. As for Super TMR targets, Awaken Rain, 30 attack, defense, magic, spirit, and 30% all resistance. If you are looking for something to put on pretty much any character for elemental resistances, you're going to use that there. It's going to be a very nice thing to have. As far as specifically going for it, you may or may not want to do it based on what sort of trials you're fighting right now. If you want to have an easier go at all of the elemental Tetris trials where you need to have pretty much all of your characters decked out in a whole bunch of elemental resistance gear, you don't have all of that gear yet, that'll make your life easier. If you've already beaten all that stuff though, you don't really need it. You can pass on it pretty easily. Wilhelm, Super TMR, is a very, very, very good, very, very bulky body piece, very high defense and spirit. It's like 110, 111 defense and spirit there, and also gives you like 15 or 20% HP on a heavy armor slot. So you put that on pretty much any tank in the game. When that got unveiled, I remember for the first time people were like, wow, that thing is ridiculous. And it's still, to this day, exceptionally powerful for the raw stats that it gives you. So if you're looking for something like that to pick up, go for it. So quick recap here. As far as a new player goes, if you're looking for a tank, for physical tanks, Awakened Warrior of Light is going to be tied with Warrior of Dawn Galoof for your number 1 and 2 options. If you're looking for a magic tank on here, Sacred Shield Charlotte, boom, number 1 option. If you're looking for a tank that can go ahead and do both and be flexible but has less utility but has really good girth, then Sieghard is definitely what you're looking for, followed up by Bosch here for the little bit of breaking capability. I put Sieghard as a flex tank above Bosch, but Bosch is still very, very powerful. As far as healers go for a new player, Myra, Warrior of Light, Lena, those are going to be very strong for you, as well as Dr. Aden. Those should be your top 3 characters when you're looking for a healer here in FFBE. Right underneath them is going to be Folka. She's like barely worse than those 3, but she's still insanely strong. And then underneath Folka, you're going to have, you know, the likes of like Aerith, Yuna, who else was on here, and like a Yaka. So for those are the ones that you're looking at for characters if you want to go ahead and pull them as a new character, as a new player. And then Mercenary Ramza can come in here as a tank. He's very, very good. And then underneath Mercenary Ramza is literally the rest that we talked about, like Gladiolus and Beryl and all those characters. You know, Awaken Rain, Wilhelm, don't really care too much about those characters as a newer player there. Then Aloha Lastfall, I don't know why he's on this banner. That character is a damage dealing unit that can tank for like 2 turns, but hey, whatever. As far as Super TMRs go for, I forgot to talk about Warrior Dawn Galoof Super TMR and Focus Super TMR. Warrior Dawn Galoof Super TMR's HP and defense 40%, as well as fire and light resist. It's very strong. It's very good, especially for a physical tank. Focus is the Staff of Ripples, which has high spirit and has a lot of MP on it. It's 150 MP with 30% MP on it. Very strong if you're worried about running out of MP. Not necessary, though. So Warrior Dawn Galoof is very strong. Now, as far as Super TMRs, if you're looking for the raw girth, if you're targeting Super TMRs on this banner, Beryl stands out to me as something that is very, very strong. Not really for tanking, but for more of your supports and your healers. Elemental resistances of light and dark. Get High Tide Plus on it and fire off those limit bursts. If limit burst teams are a thing you're doing, that's going to be something that's going to be very amazing for you. It's going to keep you tanky. It's going to keep you bulky. And it's going to allow you to do all those limit burst strategies. Gladiolus, Super TMR, Boss Super TMR. Big tanking Super TMRs. You're going to love them there. If you're looking for some tanking stuff on any of your other characters we have access to, the big Wilhelm body piece, that kind of stands out. That's very strong. Sacred Shield Charlotte Shield. Sacred Shield Charlotte Shield. Say that 5 times fast. Is also very powerful. The Honor of Grand Shell. Forgot to talk about this one. This is also one of the best Super TMRs on here for tanking. Heavy shield. It's got HP on it. It's got spirit on it. It's got a bunch of raw spirit as well as some good defense on it, as well as light and ice resistance. It's going to be a shield. If you have access to the shield, it's going on every character. It's pretty similar like Wilhelm, but to put it a little bit above Wilhelm, it's a shield, and it's got it's harder to find shields that have like all that crazy stuff on it. Wilhelm, though, body piece kind of stands out as well. So Signature Charlotte Shield, Wilhelm Shield, amazing. I would go after those as well. Secret Shield, now don't really like it as much. But Warrior of Light Shield is pretty good too. But outside of that, I wouldn't really target anything else. I wouldn't target Awaken Rain. I wouldn't target Aerith. I wouldn't target Yuna. I wouldn't target Warrior of Light Lena, Aloha Lastfall, Folka, Myra, Sieghard, Dr. Aden, Lotus Mage Fina, Ayaka, or Elfrida, or Ramza. I wouldn't target any of those as far as Super TMRs go. So if this guy's helped you out, hopefully it did. And I'll quickly talk about the 11 Rainbow Banner. You guys can go in and do the 11 Rainbow Banner if you want. It is 10,000 Lapis. You get 11 random rainbows. Okay, and we'll look at the drop rates really quickly. I don't like this because you can't target anything. You just have to hope. You have to look at all the characters on here. To get a specific character, it's 0.95% chance. So it's a little under 1% chance. Little under 1% chance to get a character that you desire. Now remember, the on-banner rates for a blue crystal to be a character that you want when you pull it is 1.5%. Remember that. All right, it's 5% rainbow rate, 1.5% on banner, which means every blue crystal in FFBE, if you go use a rare summon ticket right now, you have a 1.5% chance to get the character that you want. So if there's only a couple characters in here, the odds of you pulling them is just that 1.5% chance 11 times. All right, now you can get good stuff in here, but you have a wide range of characters in here. That's why the drop rate is 0.95, because there's so many characters in here, and it goes all the way back to Olive, Farivia, Roberta, Pyro, and then the CG characters, starting with CG Lasso, all the way up to the newest one being Hein and Awakened Onion Knight. So you can get some good stuff in here if you're looking for super TMRs, but there is a wide list of stuff that you get in here. All right, very, very wide list. And it's 10,000 Lapis. There's a lot of stuff to spend on. If you're a newer player, I would definitely try to target something with the cheaper 6,000 Lapis Support Breaker, Healer, Tank, Magic Tank banners. All right, and go in on those so you can try to at least get some characters that are a part of you being able to build a party, because they're guaranteed to be of a specific role. So odds are if you have, 20, 30, 40 different units that you want to have access to finish super TMRs or try to get a 7-star version, and you do the 11 rainbow summon, you'll probably get 1 or 2 of them. But it's going to be one or two randomly out of those 20, 30 characters that you want to have access to. Hopefully, if you guys did do it, you got lucky, you got what you wanted. But that's why I've never done them, is because there's only ever like a handful of things that I need, that I want. And the odds of me getting it are not that high. They're not that high, 0.95% chance there. So if this helped you guys out, let me know down below if you're pulling on the Healer Tank, Magic Tank, and if you are, what you're targeting, and then what you ended up getting, guys. So thank you guys so much for the likes and the comments. Hopefully I'll see you guys down there. Don't forget to do support the channel. You guys are fantastic people. And then for those of you who are going a little bit further beyond in the Patreon department, as well as becoming YouTube channel members, hopefully you're enjoying those perks, and we can start voting on Patreon supported content pretty soon, as far as like full on character reviews, party composition guides, how to build a team built around limit bursts, all this really cool stuff that we can start voting on when we have enough people in there, so we can have a sizable amount of voting players and voting experience. So take a look. It's in a book, not reading Rainbow, not copyrighted, but I'm also going to have a video coming out about the new UI and how to use that. Hopefully you guys will be interested in that. If you want to see that, another reason to hit that like, hit that comment, turn notification bells on. Until then, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.